Despite making the playoffs, the Raptors still have a ton of questions with their stars. Let's see if we can fix them in one offseason on this edition of The Nest. Hello everybody, welcome back to The Nest Star XP. My name is Rob and welcoming you back as we continue to rebuild NBA teams in their offseason. Remember to check the... It's this side, yes. Remember to check the timestamp and the date of this recording to make sure any information may be outdated just a wee bit. But I think a lot of this will still remain. At least I think that this is what teams should do going into their offseason. So regardless of that, I think it's fine. But before we get into the Raptors, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe button, go check out the Instagram, the TikTok, and everything. I'm rushing through this a little bit because the Raptors have a lot of stuff to do, and I don't want you to be bogged down in a 40-minute video as I get through this. So let's get to it. So the Raptors have a ton of questions in my eyes, and they did fairly well in the playoffs. They didn't go deep, and they didn't pass the first round or anything. But they did make some nice strides with this team, and I do think that the team has a solid core, but I also think that the core needs to be majorly adjusted because I don't think guys like Brandon Ingram or maybe RJ Barrett fit the long-term goal. Now, realistically, I like RJ Barrett on this team. I think a Canadian dude playing incredibly well for the Raptors in the playoffs deserves to stay, but in order to make this team work the way I wanted to, I ended up needing to trade him later on. But regardless, Brandon Ingram I don't think fits this team, which is weird to say because he was a big reason why this team did so well in the first place. But now once you get to the playoffs, you kind of see that he doesn't fit as well as he could with this team. So I ended up trading him, and I'll get into that in just a second. But I don't see the Raptors making any trades with Brandon Ingram this offseason, even though I think they should, because I think there's some better options out there for them. So, in terms of Brandon Ingram, I made a trade that actually is a little big time, but you also may recognize it from my Phoenix Suns video, and that's a little wink wink, because I think that this would fit the Raptors best, and I think that this is the best way to both maintain the team's integrity and continue to compete, while also moving off of the guy that might pose some issues for you in the playoffs especially. And the trade looks something like this. So it's a 3-team trade with the Suns, the Raptors, and the Pistons. So the Pistons will acquire Brandon Ingram, the Raptors will acquire Paul Reed and Devin Booker, and then the Suns will acquire Duncan Robinson, Ron Holland, Chaz Lanier, Emmanuel Quickley, Grady Dick, and the 19th pick and the 50th pick, plus maybe future picks if need be. So why would any of these teams make this trade? Obviously the Suns, if they're moving off of Devin Booker and they're going for a full rebuild, you get a first round pick out of it. You get a young guy in Ron Holland, Emmanuel Quickley, Duncan Robinson. Those are mainly salary matches, and you can maybe trade Duncan Robinson again because he's still a good role player. You can trade him again for another pick or something like that. And then Grady Dick as well. He's another young prospect that can be solid for you if he develops. The Pistons would obviously, they're only giving up Ron Holland and Duncan Robinson, and they're getting their co-star alongside Cade Cunningham and Brandon Ingram. Pretty cut and dry, easy move for them. But why would the Raptors do this? That's the big question. The main reason is you get Devin Booker. And Devin Booker is not too... It's weird to say, but his playstyle and his scoring ability is not that different from Brandon Ingram. Both of them are mid-range monsters. Neither are high-profile, off-the-dribble three-point shooters, but they're good set shots and good little movement shooters or set shooters and things like that. So he fits very well, but he's just more efficient. He can take tougher shots and make tougher shots, and he's also a better playmaker. And in my opinion, I don't want to say a better defender, but I trust him a little more to also stay healthy and stay attached and locked in defensively because he has some more winning mentality. So that's why I think they make this trade. Again, though, I don't know if the Raptors are looking to move off of Brandon Ingram this offseason, so I don't see this actually happening, but this is what I think should happen. The next thing I did is I moved off of Jakob Poeltl. I think that this is a move that the Raptors are going to make at some point, and I think that this is the best way to do it because it also helps them compete now, and it also helps out another team also looking to get off a relatively bad contract. And the trade looks something like this. It involves the Celtics, the Magic, and the Raptors, and if you watch my Magic video, you will recognize this trade as well. So the Celtics will acquire Jakob Poeltl in a 2027 lottery-protected first-round pick via the Raptors. The Magic will acquire Sam Hauser from the Celtics, and the Raptors will acquire Jalen Suggs. Now, this trade only works if the Raptors can get out of the second apron, which it doesn't work currently. It would only work if you made the Devin Booker trade because you clear $17 million in contract space, and that would allow you to make this trade. But if you don't move off of Brandon Ingram and you don't make that trade, it wouldn't happen like this. But regardless, if you can do that and then you do this, I think it would be good because you get Jalen Suggs, who fits the system really well. He can be that point guard, shooting guard for you for the future and be solid for you. And he also just fits the system along with Scotty Barnes. And if you have a forward anchor and then a perimeter guard anchor defensively, that's huge for you. The other thing I did was pretty much a direct flip, and that's RJ Barrett for Miles Turner. I think the Bucks are just looking to get a younger guy instead of Miles Turner, so they get RJ Barrett, who's relatively younger. And if you're the Raptors, he's your starting caliber center. He's a stretch guy as well. So Scotty Barnes, who's still a little bit limited in his offensive ability, he has that spacer alongside him now. And I think that Miles Turner, he has his limitations defensively and rebounding, things like that, but I think a lot of those things Scotty Barnes also makes up for, and Colin Murray-Boyles also makes up for. So I think that's the key with this trade. And in terms of free agency, because they don't have any picks, they've traded their picks in previous trades, it would be Simone Fontecchio for just a 1 year, $5 million, or maybe 1 year minimum if you can negotiate that. Just a nice little trade to get that backup wing, backup forward. That's all you need because you have a ton of depth already. It's just a matter of getting another guy like that. But other than that, yeah, that is about it. I like how this team is looking now. It's a lot of changes, don't get me wrong, and I completely get if Raptors are they want the continuity, they don't want constant change. But I think this team is better suited because you have, with this team now, you're going to have a primary scorer, you're going to have a primary creator, you're going to have a you're going to essentially have 3 defensive anchors plus a solid center who can score, space, and block shots. And then you're going to have a solid bench as well. So what does the team look like? Obviously, Jalen Suggs running the point guard position, Devin Booker running the shooting guard, Colin Murray-Boyles running the small forward position along with Scotty Barnes at the power forward, and Miles Turner running the center. And then off the bench, you got Jamal Shead, Jacoby Walker, Simone Fontecchio, Paul Reed, and you can re-sign I can't pronounce his name, but Medris Mili or whatever. And Paul Reed and Mandro can share the backup center positions and backup power forward positions. Like I said, you have a ton of depth with this team. You have a ton of defensive versatility, and now you have a little bit better spacing as well with Devin Booker and with Colin Murray-Boyles as well. And I like the idea of Colin Murray-Boyles starting. That's another reason why I made the trade with Brandon Ingram, because I think that he was clogging the lane for Colin Murray-Boyles to get that start. And I like him in that starting lineup alongside Booker and Scotty Barnes rather than Brandon Ingram. But yeah, that's about it. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think the Raptors should continue to keep Brandon Ingram, or should they look to move off him and try and go down a different route like the Devin Booker route? And obviously this is banking on the Suns moving Devin Booker, which is a big if already. But if they do, I think this is the trade that the Raptors should go and try and make, and they may need to give up a few more picks in order to make it happen. But I do think that this is a way. I do think it's something that they should look to do. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. And as always, go check out the other pages and things like that, and make sure to stay tuned for more content. And until then, y'all, peace.